The grandma with the red bag was known to everyone in town. She always walked slowly, leaning on her cane, carrying the same bright red cloth bag wherever she went. It wasn't fancy and it wasn't new, but she held it close with the kind of tenderness people reserve for something precious. One chilly autumn evening, she stepped into the supermarket. The bright lights hummed softly above her as she placed a few simple items on the checkout belt: a loaf of bread, a small carton of milk, and a packet of tea. Behind her, a line of customers began to form. A young man sighed loudly. A woman checked her watch. Someone whispered that she always came at the busiest time. The grandma didn't hear the words clearly, but she felt the impatience growing behind her. Her hands trembled as she opened her red bag and took out a small purse filled with carefully counted coins. She began placing them on the counter one by one. The cashier waited politely, but the mood in the line grew heavier. A teenage girl whispered just loud enough, asking why the grandma didn't use a card like everyone else. The grandma's eyes softened with embarrassment. She kept searching the little purse, hoping she hadn't miscounted. Then, as she pulled out the final coin, it slipped from her fingers and rolled across the floor. It spun loudly and came to rest near the shelf. A man groaned. Someone muttered that this was unbelievable. The grandma bent down slowly, struggling to reach the coin. Her knees shook and her breath grew unsteady. Before she could lower herself all the way, a gentle hand reached down and picked up the coin for her. A young woman with kind eyes stood up and smiled warmly at her. She handed her the coin and stepped to the cashier, asking to add all of the grandma's items to her own bill. The line fell silent. The grandma protested softly, saying she could pay for her groceries. The young woman shook her head kindly and told her that her own grandmother used to carry a red bag just like that one, and she always said it reminded her to carry kindness wherever she went. The grandma's eyes glistened. She touched the surface of her red cloth bag as though it carried a memory she had nearly forgotten. She thanked the young woman and admitted that people didn't always see her anymore. The young woman smiled and told her, "I see you." The groceries were packed and the line moved again, but the atmosphere had changed. The irritation faded. Something warmer settled in the air. As the grandma walked toward the exit, she looked back. The store lights reflected gently on her red bag, and for a moment she stood straighter, as if someone had lifted a weight from her shoulders. Outside, the crisp evening air smelled of leaves and distant rain. She hugged the red bag close and whispered to herself that there was still kindness in the world, and for the first time that day, she walked home with a smile.